It's update time again this week on World of Tanks console. We will be looking through all of the update details and give you some idea as to what things you should keep an eye out for when you hop onto your game on console, whether that be for World of Tanks PS4 or Xbox One. And basically we'll go through every single little thing within this update news. And then we'll go through everything that I would say is worth it within the game. Now, there's a few things this week with regards to the update news. Of course, we've still got the G.I. Joe season. That's going to be continuing for just over 6 weeks now, continuation of the previous season. Of course, the update came out today as of the recording of this video and the publishing of it. So if you haven't already played on this new update, then of course, jump onto the game and give it a go. First things first, of course, the G.I. Joe season lasts until the 24th of August. Then we've got some G.I. Joe vehicles, so that's the Mobat and the Cobra Hiss. Of course, you can earn the Mobat anyway, so don't go purchasing that unless you haven't managed to get to season rank 100 within the season on World of Tanks console. Now, with regards to some new actual content that is slightly different from the actual game that we had previously last week is, of course, we are getting 2 brand new tanks within the game, being the G.I. Joe Mauler Escalation Era Western Alliance Light Tank. Yeah, a bit of a mouthful right there. This thing looks very, very interesting, and we'll get into some more detail later on, along with the new tank being the Cobra Cat Escalation Era Independence Heavy Tank. So this is another interesting tank for you to be able to maybe pick up if you haven't already. And of course we've got some new commanders coming in as well. So we've got Roadblock, this is the 3D Hero Commander, and the Baroness 3D Hero Commander. Each of them very expensive if you want to just pick them up on their own. But of course we'll go through all of that in just a second. Then, of course, we've got the key cards. Of course, they got reset on the 29th of June, so they'll continue with their current rotation of the actual premium tanks within the key cards that you can possibly get. Of course, it's a 10% chance on each card that you open will have a premium tank within it. Of course, the more expensive the key card, the more chance of, or the better vehicles that you can get within the keycard itself. So of course the bottom one will get like tier 3 to tier 5 premium tanks, and then the top one being predominantly tier 8 tanks that you can actually pick up within the card. Then of course we have the Plaguebringer operation still going on. We've got quite a long time to actually complete the Plaguebringer, so that's the tier 6 tank destroyer from the mercenary kind of tank line. And so if you want to actually pick this up, then you can do. You've got probably about 4 weeks now, just under, in order for you to actually pick up this tank. Of course, it is limited time, so if you don't already have the Plaguebringer, which is an okay tank, it's not superb, it's not going to be blowing anyone out the water, but this tank will definitely be pretty good in game. So of course, keep an eye on that, decide whether or not you want to pick up the Plaguebringer. And of course, we did do a video on the Plaguebringer last week on Tuesday, I believe it was. So take a look back in the channel, have a look and see if you actually like the Plaguebringer, and then maybe come back to this video to check out what's next. Then of course, long haul. We have the long haul coming on every week, as with every single week that is in the game. Basically, it gets reset every Tuesday in the morning, British time basically, and super late at night, or super early morning I should say, for the Americans, those of you who watch, which are predominantly the people who watch my videos. And you basically have to just complete 75 battles and come in the top 7 XP earners. You don't need to win or anything like that. It's just you've got to come in the top 7 within 1 week 75 times and you'll get a random key card. Of course, you're more likely to get the confidential key card than you are to get the top secret key card within this. At least that's what I'm pretty sure is the case, because 9 times out of 10 I end up with a confidential key card. Don't know if it's just because I'm getting unlucky, but I think the weighting is more in favour of the confidential key card than, of course, having slightly less for the classified and then even less % chance of getting the top secret one. That's what I would guess is going to be it, but I haven't got any confirmation from Wargaming on that. Now, there's another few different things within the game as we bugging out within the kind of news article, but we do have OnTrack event to the French light tank. So of course, if you haven't picked up the AMX 13105, this thing got a massive buff in update 6.0 on World of Tanks console, and that's because what happened when update 6.0 came on, well, basically everything got more accurate on the move, so now you can hit things on the move. The one problem that I had with the 13105 is because it gets that 3-shot autoloader with 390 alpha damage per shot, you kind of had this case where you just didn't hit on the move, even when you were pretty close to the opponent that you were going against. And so it kind of felt a little bit lackluster because you then have to stop, which of course negates the whole point of a light tank in the fact that you should be moving and getting up close and personal with the tanks that you're coming up against. Whereas the AMX 13105 now can basically hit on the move. It's like a laser now because of the updates to the game. And yeah, it's fantastic, and we'll basically go through a little bit more detail right now. Now, within this, we basically got the French light tank OnTrack event. So basically what that means is 50% discount on any tier 3 to tier 6 light tanks, and of course the AMX 12T being such a great light tank to actually give a go at, and of course the AMX ELC BIS or BIS. This thing's really fun as well, the tier 5, so if I can recommend any of them, then yeah, these two are really good. Let me just say, the AMX 38 and the AMX 40, the duck tank, they are pretty awful within the game. I'm not going to lie, they're pretty damn terrible. So that's kind of the case with tier 4s anyway. But yeah, tier 5 and 6 are pretty good. Then we go on to the AMX 1375 at a 30% discount, as with the tiers 7 to 10. So you get a 30% silver discount. And of course you get the 25% bonus XP to be able to complete your tech trees faster. So when you get your XP at the end of the game, if you've got 100 XP previously without the operation, you'll now get 125 XP, if that makes sense. So instead of getting your standard amount of XP, you'll get that 25% more XP every single game that you play in any of the French light tanks leading up to the AMX 13105. Now, really good line. I can't really say that any of these tanks are particularly terrible from the tier 5 upwards. I think my favourite light tank in the game to date is the Batchat 12T. This tier 8 is absolutely fantastic. This thing is one of my favourites within the game. Certainly one that I would recommend to pretty much anyone that plays World of Tanks console. Definitely grind up to the Batchat 12T. Am I saying the 13105 is better tier for tier? Probably not. I'd say that actually the Batchat 12T, the tier 8, is actually probably better than the tier 10 for its tier, if that makes sense, considering you can come up against tier 6s. Yeah, it's probably more competitive, I'd say. But definitely give these tanks a go. Of course, you've got all of the benefits of it being on track right now, and that does end on the 20th of July. So next Tuesday, they will all be edited out, so you won't get all of the boosts and stuff like that. So be sure to grind out the French light tanks in this next week if you're interested in doing so. Of course, if you're not, then just skip ahead to the next part of the video, at which we are going to talk about the bundles for World of Tanks. Of course, this week we get a few new things, and we have got an earn operation for a skin, which seems to be kind of taking over now from where they used to give you premium tanks for free. Now we've got a skin, or a hero skin, for the Somua SM. Basically, you have to complete a variety of different tasks. This one, you basically have to destroy enemy vehicles in any number of battles, playing in French and Western Alliance vehicles only. So you have to play in Cold War, the Western Alliance if you're playing in Cold War, or you'll have to play French tanks in World War II. Once you've done basically destroyed 100 or more vehicles in any number of battles, you will get the Somua SM skin along with 300,000 silver, and from the previous operations you'll get a ton of silver, and by a ton I mean you'll probably be looking at about 1 million, well just under 1 million silver. I think it's about 850,000 silver if you actually manage to do it, 950,000, somewhere along that kind of line. And so yeah, fantastic way of actually making some money, and I think actually it's 1 million silver exactly. Sorry, my maths is going out the window since I've finished all my exams. But yeah, definitely really worth kind of grinding towards. I mean, even if you don't have the Somua SM, it will be there forever. So if you ever do pick it up in a bundle or a key card or whatever you do, you can always have this hero skin. And of course, it doesn't take much other than playing some French tanks, which of course, if you're doing the French OnTrack event, should be pretty easy because it only takes a week and you only have to destroy 100 vehicles in any number of battles. And if you're doing the OnTrack and you're playing quite a bit, this thing should be pretty easy for you. Now, as far as some other things, you've got the new French themed emblems. So these are the new emblems that came into the game today. And yeah, you'll be able to see them in the emblem reel starting today. So of course, if you're interested in picking up these emblems, you'll be able to get them. And so, yeah, might be interesting for you French players out there who watch these videos. I don't know how many of you there are. But of course, if you're a French sympathizer and you really like French tanks, then maybe you'll be interested in getting some emblems. Then, of course, we have the bundles. Now, this is the kind of one aspect of the review or update news that I kind of look at, and I don't want to spend too much time because I feel like I could go down a rabbit hole of talking about all of them, but we'll give a brief overview. First one, Issy's Finest, Egality... Oh god, that was butchered. The AMX M4 MLE 49 skinned version. Basically, make up what you will with the name of that. It's the heavy tank, pretty good, pretty average, you know, not going to break the bank. Then we get the AMX model 58, which is okay, but it's a light tank that kind of is... It can be competitive in the right hands, but for the most part, you're probably not going to have too much fun in this thing. And then the Audace Canon de Assalto de 105. This is the tank destroyer. For 13,500 gold, should you go for it? Probably not. I mean, the Audace is pretty nice and the MX M4 is an okay heavy tank. But they're not going to be super overpowered. But if you're interested in your French ones, then go ahead. Then, of course, we have the Guardians of the Republic, where you get the ELC Even 90, which is a fantastic light tank that got quite a few buffs actually recently with update 6.0. Then you get the Bat-Chatillon Barrasque, which is another fantastic tank, medium tank on what console. And then the kind of stinker of the group being the AFCM 50T. Oh my god, that is awful. Absolutely terrible tank right there. So left behind. Armor doesn't work. Doesn't really play like a medium. Doesn't play like a heavy tank. Kind of just this box of armor that you can steal hit points from, basically. Yes, you can have good games. I'm not saying that every single game that you play in this thing is going to be bad, but yeah, I guess if you want the Bat-Chat Barrasque and the ELC Even 90, it's a good deal. Otherwise, don't go with it. Then Continental Masters. Oh my, these are terrible. This is actually so funny. AMX Chaffee, the worst tank, in my opinion, in the game. Genuinely the worst tank in the game, in my opinion. The tier 7 light tank with less hit points than tier 6 light tanks, with a pretty average gun, pretty bad kind of... It's just mediocre in all aspects. There is no one exceptional thing about it, and it's got the hit points so that, yeah, it's just useless. Have a look at one of my previous videos on the AMX Chaffee that I've done recently. Similarly, this AMX CDC is so left behind as well, and that's another video that I've done recently in the kind of premium tanks that were left behind. Of course, have a look at that kind of series. It's part of a series that I'm doing, looking at some pretty terrible tanks that you'll probably want to avoid if you ever fall into the trap of purchasing some premium tanks that are just stinkers. Then hopefully that'll kind of stop that from happening, at least for the ones that I know about anyway. And then, of course, the Somua SM, which is actually a fantastic tank, but unfortunately, in order to get it, you have to get two stinkers that you probably never ever play, at least when you're trying to have good games, at least. Yeah, 11,000 gold, not a bad price considering the Somua on its own is usually probably in the region of like 13,000 gold, but with the 55% savings, you know, you're saving a bit of money. And of course, if you do really want the Somua, then maybe it's worth it for you, especially since we got that skin. I think that's what Wargaming are trying to go for, if you get what I mean. And then finally, we get the Pride Pack. This comes with the Somua SM Hero skin. For those of you who can't be bothered to do the operation, you just want to buy the skin straight away. And then you can get the various different emblems, inscriptions, and that will cost you 3,150 gold, which is quite a chunk, I guess, considering you can get the skin for free. And the emblems and inscriptions, no one tends to care about too much. Then, of course, the weekly deals. We've got the 50% off of the TANK, or the tank. This is the kind of fast RU251, not RU251 like the Spic, with a derp gun on top of it. 122mm gun on the top of this tank. It's kind of got this really big derp that you can just have so much fun with. 660 alpha with its standard rounds, 510 with its premium rounds, and of course decent final rounds that, well, kind of, they're like premium HE almost. 660 hit points of damage with those, with slightly higher penetration. So if you're interested in the TANK, then that is 4,300. Pretty decent deal, to be honest with you. I don't think you'll get it on much more of a discount, to be honest. It doesn't tend to come into many bundles on its own. And then of course the Hidden Stug 3, which is a tier 5 that probably is pretty broken at tier 5, but I haven't played tier 5 in so long, at least not competitively or trying to grind out any tanks to get marks or anything at tier 5. So yeah, maybe check a look at that. But I think this is pretty decent, and of course it's only 1,400 gold, but you're not going to make any money at tier 5 playing a premium tank, so it's kind of wasted gold if that's what you're aiming to do. So maybe save it, take a look at some other premium tanks that are slightly more expensive, and make your mind up there. Of course, this week we have some streams with Minto Vimto that you can have a look at, which of course are on Friday, July 16th at the usual time of 7 o'clock UTC in the evening, 2 p.m. Central Time. And that is, of course, followed by the July 19th, which is the Monday insider information, where we look at some extra things coming in the next updates. Of course, let me know what you actually think of the most recent kind of additions with G.I. Joe season, and of course the new tanks and the new kind of content that's coming into the game. Of course, I will actually be reviewing both the new premium tanks in the G.I. Joe Mauler and the new basically Cobra Cat, which of course is like a similar to the Mobat, I guess. So we will be doing reviews of those in the coming days, so I'll be able to actually get that out really quickly for you guys, and hopefully that will be beneficial to you as to making your mind up as to how much you're willing to spend on these, if you want to spend any money, or if they're terrible. I'm going to say that they're terrible. Hopefully you don't purchase them unless you just really want those premium Cold War vehicles. Of course, the new content being the Cold War again, just constant driving into the Cold War game mode. I'm not a fan of this. Yes, they say that they're bringing in new World War II tanks, but they tend to just be premium tanks that we already had that are just unskinned versions of some of the season tanks. So, Wargaming, please develop new World War II tanks alongside these tanks. Don't try and give us a reskinned version. It just doesn't work. And I think people get kind of fed up of no new premium tanks that they can actually spend their money on. And of course, you're missing out on some money if people don't actually buy any of the Cold War ones that are quite expensive in the first place, considering if you want to pick it up straight away, it's going to cost you 15,000. And then if you want to wait 2 weeks, which, of course, people are probably not going to want to do anyway, it's going to cost you 13,000 nearly. And then, of course, with the Cobra Cat, we've got 15,600, so it's slightly more expensive than the Mauler. And then, of course, the base version costing you 13,000. The middle versions basically just have the premium time, compared to the top version having the Hero Commander as well. If you're interested in just the Hero Commanders, you can pay about, 20-something pounds in order to get the Hero Commanders, which are just like any other commander. And in fact, a lot of the time you get 3D Hero Commanders within the Season Pass, so there's not really much point unless you really want the specific commander themselves, at which point you can only actually purchase both of them at the same time and not on their own or individually. So interesting, yeah. Have a look at that, decide whether you want to purchase them. Let me know in the comment section what you think of them producing just new Cold War vehicles all of the time, considering we want some actual decent World War II content, or at least I do. And then let me know what you think of the most recent update news for World of Tanks And also make sure to subscribe if you aren't already and you want to stay up to date with the latest update news and gameplay, guides, World of Tanks console, just videos every single day. Of course, I'm back from my holiday now, so it was pretty decent. Really, really nice time to just spend some time with family and friends. Of course, I did upload quite a few videos that were more like guides, I guess, just to keep the content somewhat fresh and try and help you out whilst I'm on holiday. And I wouldn't be able to do any like current events that are coming on to World of Tanks console. But I'm back now, and I will be producing all of the current content. So, of course, guides will still come. So, if you're interested in any of that, be sure to subscribe. And a massive thank you to every single one of the channel members and every single one of you who decide to watch the videos. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, it's just been fantastic to see so much support recently on the channel and so many growth in terms of the subscriber count and everything. It's just fantastic. Really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.